Yo, what's good? It's the boy Dude Reviews and heavy spoilers for My Hero Academia Season 7 Episode 20, You Have Been Warned. This episode adapted the final panel of Chapter 390, all of 391, 392, 393, and 394. The episode begins with the final confrontation of the Todoroki family versus Dabi, and the episode pretty much centers on Toga and Ochaco. Toga declares that she will annihilate all of the heroes, and I must admit that despite twice being a villain, I was never intimidated or scared of him, but Toga, now that she is disguised as twice, it's the first time seeing him that I'm actually scared of him. Toga is so intimidating and really creepy in this episode. As Ochaco confronts Toga, she said something that surprised me. It's only been a year since they first met, so between season 3 and season 7 it's been 1 year. That is insane to me. Ochaco just wants to get through to Toga, but Toga is having none of it. She has a flashback of when Sue was coming up with a theory of how Toga's love doesn't quite extend to Shigaraki and the others, which makes sense as she couldn't use their quirks, and that explains why she was freaking out over her not being able to power up like they do. I do find the reasoning to be really fascinating and quite ironic how it is because of her murderous intent, her desire to destroy people, that is preventing her from actually using their powers, as murderous intent isn't quite considered to be pure love. And Toga pretty much confirms that, telling Ochaco to shut up and mate. As much as I love the way the anime draws some of her frames, dude, the streak lines in the manga go really hard. But one thing that the anime does well, the voice acting. Dude, the Toga voice actress does a phenomenal job throughout the entire episode. She tells Ochaco how she doesn't understand her at all, telling her that she lived a comfortable life, how she didn't need anything, and that's what's making Toga really mad in this situation, because once again she is misunderstood by people. We did have flashbacks of Toga's past in previous episodes, but this is the first time we're truly diving into Toga's mentality. I love how all the adults in this flashback are completely covered in black ink, showing us that how people just didn't understand her and didn't want anything to do with her. Even the people who tried to help her and to make her normal, it still wasn't enough to help Toga out. I just thought doing this was genius in both manga and anime, but I also love how when Toga is looking around in the park and seeing people just having a wonderful day out, minding their own business, she's so fascinated by other people truly being happy and smiling, and it confuses her. People are happy when she isn't around, but the moment she tries to interact with anyone, they don't want anything to do with her, calling her face scary. It's quite sad. As much as I didn't like the parents for not understanding Toga, I did feel quite sorry for them, as it did seem like they tried to give Toga the help that she needed, but it just wasn't enough. But in Toga's mind, her parents seemed to be the bad guys and all the adults in her life, which is why they were covered in black ink. Anyone that interacted with Toga, whenever she remembers them, she just sees a blank face, versus when people who are happy and minding their own business, not with Toga, they're truly happy. It is a pretty childish way of viewing the world as black and white, as it is more morally grey. We don't know what the parents are going through and how Toga acting the way she is acting is affecting their lives. But it does make sense. I mean, she was a child back then. She reminisces to when that one lady from the Redastro organization tells her to just relax and to become someone else entirely, suppress herself and to just wear a mask. But the reason why she seemed annoyed in this scene is because that isn't what Toga needed. She needed someone to understand her. Fortunately, Ochaco does later on. The fight between Ochaco and Toga continues with some really wild facial expressions that were perfectly captured from manga to anime. I also love how Sue got a moment to shine in this episode. When she started UA, she believed that following the rules was the best way to be a hero. We saw that when Midoriya, Ida and the gang went to try and rescue Bakugo, but if they had not done that, then possibly Bakugo would have been in danger. Seeing how the world is shaping up after all these seasons and seeing Ochaco do what she has to do, now she realizes that in order to help people and to be a true hero, one has to break the rules. Just such a wonderful moment. But Toga isn't having any of this. She goes on and on about how people have really happy, blessed lives and how Toga's been having a very dark, depressing life, and how the world doesn't understand her, feeling like the lowest of the low in society. I watched Joker 1 and Joker 2 yesterday, and I just can't help but be reminded of how society doesn't quite care enough for people that are doing terribly, but seem to praise those that are succeeding in life. As well as Himiko Toga reminded me more of Harley Quinn from other iterations of the Batman, not in Joker 2. Yikes. But as the fight goes on, Toga then has a flashback to when she was with the League of Villains, talking about why she does not have a villain name, while the villains try to give her some really corny and cringy villain names. Shigaraki reveals as to why he himself doesn't have a villain name. Shigaraki doesn't like the idea of hiding his real identity and wants the world to know who he is and what he's all about. Despite Toga having a dark past and no one really liking and acknowledging her, she still wants the world to see who she is and what she's all about, regardless of their opinions. Toga doesn't want to be tossed away and thrown into a cage after everything she's done. Even though Ochaco was trying to get through to her, she feels like she's just the same as everyone else. And as Himiko Toga goes crazy with her quirk powers, a news reporter in a helicopter notices that the doomsday theory is coming true, the moment when quirks will grow stronger with every generation until no one can control them. Ochaco does not give up trying to get through to Toga, and she does everything she can to just get her to listen to her and to talk. She talks about how when they first met she was terrified of her, but that is because she did not understand her. I mean, despite the grim situation back at the UA training camp, how could she be smiling when her friends were in danger? And it was a true, genuine smile. The word smile triggers Toga into thinking about her past. She's very conflicted, thinking of what Twice told her to just live the life she wants to live, and then thinking about her parents calling her creepy. Toga's mind is going all over the place in this moment. But I have to give props to Ochaco. She just doesn't give up. She's just charging towards Toga despite her body being battered and bruised. She talks about how she sees so many people with happy faces, and she knows Toga had a beautiful smile on her face too. When she talked about how much she was in love with Deku, saying that to the boy that she loved with such confidence made her jealous. Ochaco, a hero trying to do the right thing, being jealous of a villain. That moment made me realize that, hey, the world isn't all good and all bad. People do have some light and dark inside of them. Nobody is quite perfect in this world. Nevertheless, Ochaco is still striving to be a pro-hero, and her powers explode when she says she doesn't want to pretend that she never saw Toga smile. I love the subtle moments of Toga trying to cover her ears from hearing Ochaco's words because she doesn't want to be turned. She doesn't want to see the bright side of life after experiencing all that pain. It was painful enough to be told that she can't smile, but hearing someone else her age telling her that she can smile and she has every right to, damn. So emotional, dude. Ochaco is so badass that she would even give her as much blood as possible if it meant that she could get through to Toga and just talk to her. And you just see little baby Ochaco giving her arm out in a gesture of her giving her blood away. So adorable. She's so tiny and chibi-like. She reminds me of Goku and Krillin when they were kids. But wow, Ochaco's quirk is truly developed over the years. I mean, holy moly. All the Twice clones just flying up into the air. Even some of the heroes are getting caught up into Ochaco's power quirk. And it's making me realize that if Ochaco didn't quite have control over her powers, or if her parents didn't quite believe in her, she too could have gone down a dark path like Toga, which is why she is so desperate to try and help her, because she sees a bit of herself in her, at least when it comes to jealousy and love. Despite Toga berating Ochaco about how she lived a happy, privileged life, that wasn't true. Her family was quite poor and her parents were quite sad trying to get by. She wanted to make them happy, which is why she tried to become a hero. It was all to support and help her family, but as she got older, she realized that there were more people in the world and people who were suffering more than her parents. And in my opinion, I think those are fantastic qualities to being a great hero. Yes, it's good to be there for your friends and family, but also strangers, the cats down the road. They also may need help. Try to love your neighbors, everyone. Toga's about to slice her up, but she can't do it. This shot was really creepy because that really grotesque creature that was sprouting from her was the dark side that was in Toga, but she brings herself to not do it, and she starts to open up for the first time. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, frustration, love, heartache, trauma, happiness, sadness, disgust, envy, fear, anxiety. All of those emotions inside Himiko Toga manifested into this dynamic creature looking like the other mother from Coraline. She talks about how there was a boy when she was younger who reminded her of Deku. Honestly, dude, I was a little bit creeped out when I saw this. It's literally Deku, but with dark blue hair, admitting that she didn't want to say anything because he might see her as a freak, and then the two girls start turning into little kids. I love the color change from it being dark and really desaturated to really being saturated and colorful, symbolizing how happy she is to finally talk to someone about her deep emotions. Talking about how the League of Villains was the only place she could truly be herself. She tells Toga that she can't replace the League of Villains, but her telling her that she has a great smile might be enough to make her see the errors of her ways. Such a beautiful ending to this really emotional episode. While it did have great animations, it didn't have the Sakuga-like intensity of the previous episodes. Many fans speculated that this would be a super Sakuga-like MAPPA episode, but it wasn't that. But it was still well drawn and still well animated in my opinion. It's not perfect because despite this episode having a great message, they do repeat that message over and over again in the episode. Ochaco wants to talk to Toga and Toga doesn't want to hear. It's pretty much repeating, but it's a nitpick. It's still fantastic in my opinion. Overall, this was a fantastic episode, and for that I'll give it a 9 out of 10. But tell me in the comments down below, what did you guys think of this? And I think next week is the finale, so looking forward to that. Did you like or hate the episode? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more My Hero Academia videos as well as other anime videos, news updates and all that jazz. But thank you for watching, and as always, a boy do the view signing out.